Hey, this is Travis and Chris with Scala Summit. We're here with GuitarMessenger.com. All right, now we'll take it piece by piece and slow each part down. The first part is actually in 6/4, and I'm just going to play it real slow for you guys, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing. Okay, so that's the intro that I play by myself in the beginning. So what we're doing is starting on the low B string, we're going to be going 3rd fret, 5th fret, and 6th fret on the low B. Then we're going to skip to the A string and the D string, and we're going to tap 5th fret on the A string, and then 7th fret on the D string. And then with the right hand I like to use my index and middle for these two taps, we're going to hit the 10th fret on the G string, and then the 10th fret on the E string. So once more it looks like this. And then you're going to pull off. I like to go in a downward motion. Some people, when they're tapping, they like to go with an upward stroke, but when you're hitting these like this, I like to kind of, when I'm tapping it, pull off in a way, just like when you're doing any kind of these kind of tappings, you're hitting a note and you're pulling off the note in a kind of a downward. That's an over-exaggeration just to show you the motion, but it's a lot smaller when you hit that motion there. So then after that, it just moves up on the A and the D string again, both in that kind of the power chord, 5th chord shape. You're going to be hitting the 3rd fret, 5th fret, and then 7th, and you're going to be holding that. The next part, I lead in as well, and this part is going to be the same thing. You're going to be doing this alternating tapping with the index and the ring finger on the left hand, and it's kind of the carnival-esque sound of this this part. So this one slowed down looks like. So by then the rest of the band's joined in. And what it is you're starting with your index finger, you're tapping the 3rd fret on the A string, you're sliding up to 7, and then you're going to be tapping the 9th fret again on the D string with your ring finger, and you're going to be tapping on the 12th fret for the G and the E string for the first part. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going from this 5th chord position on the A and the D string on the 7th and the 9th fret. We're going to be jumping up to the E string on the 8th fret and the 10th fret, and you're going to be tapping on 13, which gives you the darker sound. All right, so the next part is where me and Travis come in together for the tapping section where the band joins in together. And slow down, it sounds like this. Okay, so what's unique about this is most tapping parts, when they usually start where the index finger would be the leading finger as far as when you hit the chords, but what we're doing is we're actually starting with the ring finger. So it's an opposing idea, and it's kind of a little, you'll see when you start to work on it, is it's a little unnatural as far as most people like to start riffs on their index finger, but this one's actually starting where on your ring finger. So every time you hit a chord and you switch strings, you're going to be starting with your ring finger. So what I would do is I would recommend when you first start working on it, get this down first. And then you can work in the chords later, like the little, double stops later. So what I would do is I like to just practice. Whenever I'm warming up on this song, I usually just go through the chords so that way you can get the movement down, because the hardest part for most guitar players when they're tapping is they're not able to stare at both fingers. So what you want to do is you want to work out. The left hand I like to not look at. I like to concentrate focusing on my eyesight on my right hand when I'm doing through the chords, so at the right notes, because these are just moving 1 fret apart down, same fifth chord, just 1 fret down and 1 string down. So that's the first section, is it's going here to there. And then you want to demonstrate the next part?
Sure. Basically, the next part keeps the same idea. We just kind of change up the order of the chords we're tapping with our right hand. So next one's going to go. And all I did there was start on the 11th fret, and then move to the 12th fret, and then I'm going to switch chords with my left hand to move up a string to the 8th and 10th fret, and then I'm tapping on 13 on the B and D string. And then the next one basically keeps the same idea, but then we're going to go 12, 11, 14, and then back to 13. And for the very last one, we're going to go just 12, 14, and then back to 13. And that basically completes that section.
All right, this next section, after the part that Travis just finished, is in 9, and it's a little bit more individual finger work. We're going to be doing some chords with the right hand, just octave shapes with slides, and I recommend using your strongest fingers for tapping, which will be index and ring for these kind of patterns. Some people like to go index and pinkies because of the 4-fret spacing, but I recommend to stick with your stronger fingers for this because it's a little bit tricky. So here's this part slowed down. Okay. All right, and then the section after that is back into 4/4. And what happens is after the 9 section, you're going to jump up with your left hand. So make sure you're looking at your left hand here and just know that you're going to be tapping 7. And it's going to be slowed down. It'll sound like this. So the section that's after the 9 and the 4/4 section is in 5. And slowed down, it looks like this. Okay. And the section after that this is actually the most complicated section for visualizing the fretboard, but it sounds like this slowed down.
So we're coming into the last part of the Levitated, and this is I'm basically just tapping some chords right here. I'm going to be doing a 5th shape with my 1st and 3rd finger, 3rd fret and 5th fret on the A and D string. And I'm just going and I'm basically just tapping 7th fret on the high E and the G string. So you're going to do that 4 times, and then move up to the 7th and 9th fret and tap same 2 strings with your right hand, but now on the 12th fret. Only twice, and then scoot over to 5th and 7th fret. And this time I'm going to keep the 12th fret on the high E string, but now switch to the 11th fret on the G string. Twice, so whole thing. And then basically for my part, everything stays the same except for the next 2. I'm going to keep the same first 2 chords. But for the 3rd one, I'm going to keep the same chord shape with my right hand, 11 and 12, but instead of doing a 5th shape on the 5th and 7th fret, I'm going to hold a G octave shape, 3rd fret low E string, and then the octave of that. And that's only for the 2nd or the 3rd and the 4th time we go through that when Chris starts his melody. Then I'm going to go back into the same original 3 chord shapes.
All right, so after we play the chord section 2 times through that Travis just demonstrated, I go through and do a kind of a layered part, a more lead part with 16th note flurries kind of with the left hand. So just slowed down, it sounds like this for the first section. Now for this section, the hardest part is when it jumps down and you've got the 16th note bunches here with the left hand. What I recommend is just work on that as much as you can first, because that's the trickiest part, because you're going to be doing 8th notes here and then 16th notes, 16th notes, 16th notes, and then back to 8th notes. Okay, so Travis continues on for the next part with his chords still after my first layered part. And the second layered melody, slowed down, sounds like this. Okay, and then after that, we play that part twice over his chords. We come in together, but we both are going to be doing the 16 note bunches there for the next ending. And slow down, it sounds like this. And then at the very end of the song, I'm actually just holding a 1-5-1-5 chord with my left hand, so it'll be just 1st fret, 3rd fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret, starting on the low B. And what I'm doing is I'm just basically hammering that chord on after the final chord progression, and then I'm tapping what I'm doing is I'm tapping on the 19th fret, harmonics, and then the 12th fret. That about sums that section up.